What up, folks? What up, folks? Welcome to another episode of the F2 Father Figure Podcast. It's a new season, new setup, no let up. Of course, I'm normally joined by my trusty co-host, Deontay Miller, who was unable to make it tonight, but I got my off the bench co-host tonight, man. I got my boy Richard Kirby with me.
What up? D-League.
Came up from the G League.
From the D-League.
Came up off the practice squad. Help your boy out. But nah, man, I got one of my best friends, great man of God, great father, great husband, great all around dude, man. My boy Richard Kirby. What up, Kirby?
What's up, Reg? Man, glad to be here. You sound like you was getting a little emotional when you said that about me, man. Is that really how you feel about me?
No. But I mean, you know what I'm saying?
You seem like you was getting a little choked up saying that.
I said one of my best friends, bro. I'm not.
But why did you choke up a little bit?
Man, it might have been this gummy bear or something.
Okay, got you.
But it ain't.
I know how you feel about me, so I appreciate
you know what I'm saying?
you saying
hey,
that.
What's understood don't have to be.
Yes, sir.
But man, we here, another episode, new season, new setup. Y'all see we got it's Quayne and this boy, man. So we gonna just kind of introduce some new things for the new season, and kind of just give people an idea of where we going with the podcast, with the movement, moving forward. Man, we want to touch bases on the three different father figures concept, and then just kind of touch on the reverse the curse concept. You know, we got the conference but I think everything father figure, including the podcast, should be geared toward reversing the curse. So jumping right into it, man, the foundation of the father figure movement and the podcast, the apparel, everything, is what I consider the curse that was spoke on in Malachi 4, 5, and 6 biblically, which speaks to the hearts of the fathers and the returning to the children, and the hearts of the children returning to the fathers. And the verse says, "Least God releases a curse on the earth." And with the assault of my baby, and everything we see going on now when it comes to our communities, and when it comes to, you know, school shootings, and when it comes, you know, all this kind of stuff, man, I think we are flirting with that curse. Mm-hmm. So the concept of reversing the curse is to keep parents, is to keep children, is to keep people from having to deal with what I had to deal with. Even though, you know, we are here, I still would like the messages of a father figure, the messages of, or to our communities and to our families, to be part of reversing that curse.
Gotcha. So the reason for the podcast is that, so what are some of the steps or some of the things, man, that we're going to be able to give to people to help them reverse that curse?
Well, a lot of the curse is about, the mantra that we have also is about being present without thinking that you have to be perfect.
That's good.
Right? And a lot of times that presence, not just being present, it's about creating a presence as well, is what leads to proper identity for our kids, man. One of the things us as men that we were given, and even biblically, man, one of the identity. First, right, one of the first duties that we were given was to identify things. You know what I'm saying?
God told Adam to name everything.
Everything. And he gave them their identity. Same thing we do with our kids, same thing we do with any of the children in the community, man. You know, we got to go back to the village mentality.
You know, at the Reverse the Curse conference that we did, that was one of the biggest things that I spoke on, was that growing up with my father in the house, he told me who I was. He affirmed who I was, and, you know, just sharing with me what it means to be a Kirby man. You know, the way that a Kirby man acts, and that came from my father. That's something that my mother couldn't give me. It's something that has to come from the father.
Has to come from the father. And when it does not come from the father, or when you don't have an identity, society, social media, the schoolhouse, that you, and especially in our era, gangs, that's who gives you your identity. And again, that's what's causing what we call the curse. And that's what us as father figures, not just fathers, you know what I'm saying? Like we've been around each other. We've been around each
Is that
other.
your phone?
Yeah, it is. Hit that decline for me.
Well, I thought you asked me to turn my phone off when we.
I did.
Okay.
But the biggest thing, man, is that in reversing that curse, it's all of our duties. As long as we've been around each other, man, the village mentality is that if you see my kids in error, it is your job as their father figure
Absolutely.
to reprimand or correct them. Same thing with your kids, man, and especially with
Well,
Aaron.
I think society, we've got away from that because of maybe it's just relationship, not maybe trusting or being too close or too friendly with our kids, that we're not letting other people correct our children.
And we've let society distort our trust in our neighbor. We've let society distort our trust in our community. And a lot of that is why we don't allow those things. You know, and I'm not saying that everybody on the block should still be able to whoop your kids, or you know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
But at some point we still have to go back to that village mentality. And then part of the presence that we have to create outside of identity are the messages. And again, the boy that stabbed my baby lacked the messages. You know what I'm saying? And me and you talked about this a few times, that if I ever hear that Aaron has beat up a little girl, he done assaulted a little girl or anything,
Right.
I'm looking at you.
Oh, absolutely.
Or even when I address him, I'm gonna address him first and foremost like you know better, because I know your daddy. And that's what a lot of reversing the curse is for me personally, and it means something different to everybody.
So even on that note, so when you encountered the young man that stabbed your daughter, who came to court with him? Who was there with him?
Man, it was just mama, auntie, grandmother, sisters, whoever it was. And for me, Curb, that's the thing, because just like any father, man, you know, first of all, I'm angry. I want to kill the little boy. You know what I'm saying? I want to do something to him. But I kept asking God, man, to first of all, I had to pray for understanding. Like what would make, and at the time he was 15, my girls was 13. What makes a 15-year-old little boy assault a little girl, a 13-year-old little girl, with a pair of scissors?
Right.
And as we started the court proceedings, and we started to acknowledge who was there for us, who was there for him, I had to say, God, I hear you. I see what you're trying to show me.
It was bigger than.
It was bigger than my anger. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I initially decided, man, I'm gonna be part of the solution instead of being part of the problem, which would land me in the penitentiary, which would have another little young man off this earth.
Yeah.
And Curb,
The girls without a father, and they truly needing a father figure, because you're no longer there to protect them, to provide for them, to give them identity.
and that's what a lot of cats are always like, Reg, you better than me. Like, I'm really not better than you.
Right.
I'm just hoping that everybody, first of all, you're not gonna leave the hospital with your baby fighting for her life.
Well, you know, that's the other part of it, man, is us being able to self-discipline, right? Get your emotions in check, because it's a lot of people in the penitentiary. It's a lot of people in the grave for 5 seconds of emotions. Somebody ran me off the road today. Because I couldn't control my emotions, it led me to do something that I really shouldn't have did. And now, again, my family's visiting me because of 5 seconds of emotionalism.
And that speaks to everything that we talking about, bro. Being part of the solution, not feeding into the problem. Those things are key to the father figure movement. They key to the father figure podcast. They key to the apparel, man. Once I started to acknowledge that, even with the apparel, man, it's a lot of people that think we created this thing to sell clothes. Man, once I acknowledged what was going on, man, that's when I remember making the first shirt. It was horrible, but the message was right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like from a visual and a styling standpoint now, if I look at that shirt, like, man, I would never put that on the site. But just like this shirt I got on now, man, it's part of the legacy now of Father Figure Apparel and the podcast. But the message has not changed. This is not about even, you see these shirts, your hoodie. This stuff is not about, even though we want to look cool, we want to stay, you know, the hashtag is F2 Fresh. It's about the message, man. All of us, and the reason why we want to make it daily apparel is because daily, man, you got to be in that mindset of, I'm a father figure around the clock.
And father figure first.
Father figure first, man. You know, and again, sometimes I think that's what we lose when it, even when Malachi is talking about fathers turn your heart to the children. Again, we are guilty first. It does not say children turn their heart back to the fathers first.
Yeah, you know, so again, when I was talking about self-discipline and I say father figure first, to me, it's like in any sales, I come from a sales background. So the first thing they always identify is, what's your why? Why do you want to be successful? What wakes you up in the morning? So to me, being a father figure first, it allows me not to give in to emotionalism or things that's going to take me away from my children, because I know that that's my ultimate responsibility, is to take care of my kids, to be there for my children. And not just that, but there's other young men, other young women in the community that's watching. So when you came with the father figure movement, to me, it was huge because my parents separated in middle school. And so it was my football coaches. It was my dad's father that really took me in, and they were my father figure. So to me, this is how I was raised. And that, Ridge, what about some of the other things, man, like where the father figure movement has evolved to? I know that's kind of why we're here to talk about the other F's too. So
and that's the thing, man. And going forward, that's a lot of the subject matter of the podcast, man. We just gonna make sure we stay within our pillars, man. And we touched on the reverse the curse being the big umbrella. But under that, man, we have the three pillars, which is a spinoff of, and shout out to Xavier, which is a spinoff of the phrase father figures. So our first pillar is father figures that touches on manhood. It touches on community. It touches on accountability. It touches on family, responsibility, versatility, being a kingdom father figure. Reclaiming the throne is under that too, man. And again, we don't want to really go into detail because, like I say, going forward, this is a lot of the subject matter, but the first pillar or the first quadrant is father figures, what we are or what we should be daily. You know what I'm saying? Then we go into father figures again, which is talking about money.
Oh, okay. The body, okay. I thought you was talking about the body there.
Oh no, that's the last one. See, don't jump. See what I'm saying?
I got a little nervous because I know that's where I'm feeling it.
That's why you was on the practice squad.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why.
Go ahead. Okay, father figures. Okay.
So father figures, it touches on really, you know, what me and you talk about every day, man. First and foremost is entrepreneurship.
Yes, sir.
But it's also stewardship. It's also giving. It's also work ethic. It's also investing. And like I say, a lot of these things, of course, fall under manhood and fatherhood, but we need to keep them separate for the simple fact that, and especially us as men and us as father figures, man, if we don't find those mentors or that space where we have the right dialogue, then we'll miss this piece. We'll miss the father figure piece, and then we'll let society tell us that if you ain't got a Maybach, or, you know, what's the song the girl say, if you ain't an 8-figure, like hold on, man, that ain't, don't be out here chasing 8 figures for a shallow
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if we don't get a space where we talking about that and we talking about it from a rational standpoint, then it's a lot, especially our younger men, they gonna miss that piece. And now we on, you know, on your in your quadrant, the father figures, which comes to mental, physical, and spiritual health. Not just physical health.
Not just physical.
You know, not just
That's
physical
good.
health, but those are three of the biggest areas when it comes to reversing the curse and really conquering manhood, man. Because you can have all the money in the world, man. You can have a huge family. You can have a beautiful wife. You can have all of that type of stuff, man. But if your mind, body, and your spirit ain't right, bro, that's where we see today's age is really losing control of, you know, I don't care if it's music, if it's sports, if it's social media, whatever it is, man. We really losing focus on how important mental health, physical health, and spiritual health is.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because we have so many outlets that control the mind, man, and that mind controls the thought process. Then that thought process controls the body, and you know, just that
Well, I
cycle
think
start.
it goes right back to the identity, though, right? It was certain things that you probably growing up. I know you've been a leader, you know, your whole life, but that came from somewhere, and it came from your father as well. So it's that identity. So it's certain things that you wouldn't even let control your mind based on you already know who you are. Once I've identified who I am as a person, it's certain things that I can shut out of my life that absolutely has nothing to do with me. So it doesn't matter what the new rap song is saying or what everybody else in my school is doing, because my dad has already given me identity and told me who I am. Then you're not as susceptible. You know the word I'm trying to use.
Susceptible.
Yes, to the different peer pressures. We gonna talk about this off
Already.
but you know what I'm getting at. That's really what it is that as fathers, if we're giving them identity, then say the word.
We're not susceptible.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you could say it twice.
Right. You almost caught
Because you probably looked up the first time. But
right,
okay.
right.
But anyway, that's the point. That's why it's important for us to give our children that identity.
That identity and curb more than anything, man. And I heard this on a service. I can't think of my man's name, Jerry something. But anyway, when you are given that identity, you don't have to, and you know who you are, you don't have to entertain who you aren't.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying? Even biblically, man, you know, there's so many stories where, you know, Jesus is not going, you know, forgive them for they know not what they do. Again, they don't know their identity, but I don't have to entertain that, man. And in this service that I was listening to, man, my man dropped so many dimes, but the biggest one is he said, I don't entertain shade from trees that with no fruit. And that's the biggest thing is that's about identity. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, when somebody is slandering you or you know, trying to, you know, talk about your character and integrity, like, man, I don't have to justify who I'm not. But the only way I can do that is because I know who I am. And just like what you saying, man, by the time you was in the 6th grade, it was solidified who you were. You knew who you were.
Yeah, I think we talked about this the other day. Just you really haven't changed since then. Your character is already built. Now, it's not that you're not evolving and you're not becoming better, but really who you are, it was already built even probably before you 13, 14.
And again,
Probably if Deontay was here, he probably could tell us. I know his studies on that.
right. But even the foundational, you know, that's why they call the father the foundation, man, because you can tear a house down and rebuild it and put whatever framing or whatever you want on it, man. But if the foundation is solid, you can tear the house down 5, 10 times, man, rebuild it, add on, whatever you want to do. But the foundation is there, and that's really, you know, what I feel like you speaking to is a lot of times things don't work out later on, just like you say, your parents, split up or whatever the case may be. But a lot of what you learned and the identity that you had also helped you weather that storm a little bit.
Because my foundation was solid.
Foundation was solid. And again, for me, man, I saw foundational characteristics come out of Kennedy and Camden when we was in the hospital, man. My baby, when I go watch her hoop and I see both of them out there, man, that's foundational, man. Like.
Well, I remember the first time, man. Lately, I've seen you cry a whole lot more than I had in the first 20 years we was together.
Right.
I don't know. Waterfalls, you've been crying a lot lately. But anyway, but I remember the first time, man, that I saw you really get emotional is the day she dapped you up. You remember? Well, I know you remember, but I remember how impactful that was for you. But that was because of foundation.
And it was her telling me, it was her solidifying that foundation. Like, bro, I'm gonna shake everybody else's hand. I'm gonna, but I'm letting you know, like, put your hard hat on. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you a builder and you know what you built, you know what I'm saying? Then you trust that thing, and that's all that dap was, man. It's probably the biggest moment in my whole 45 years of living. You know what I'm saying? Because, and we always hear, especially after you become a parent, man, like we can sit up here and say how we think we're great fathers and, you know, we leaders and this, that, and the third, but man, your kids validate you. Your kids validate you. And your kids validate you by, again, when they go out in the community or when they go and, you know, interact with people, when they go to school, they validate you by character. They validate you by understanding, like, when I make a decision, I'm making that decision because I know I can't come back home and tell my daddy I did that. But again, that was a huge what did you laugh?
You don't want to know. I can't even tell you. Right? I texted to you. I'm laughing. But in closing, man, we just want to let everybody know, man, going forward, the foundation has always been about reversing the curse and being present. Not perfect, but every week, man, every time we tap into the podcast, we're gonna visit something under one of those pillars or something that's addressing the big umbrella about reversing that curse. How often, man? How often are you going?
Man, we back to weekly, man. We kind of lost some steam just because, you know, we had to go through some transition and of course everybody's in a new season, man, and you know, we got things going on, man, but we prioritize what we want to prioritize.
That's right.
So we're going to prioritize making sure we here weekly, man, making sure we tapping in, making sure we helping everybody grow. We encouraging, we uplifting. We iron sharpens iron. Ladies, everybody got to tap in, man, because in order for us to affect our houses and our communities and the world, it's going to take everybody. But
what about topics, man? Are people able to send in suggestions on things?
For sure, man. Tap into YouTube. Tap into put something in the comments, man. Whether it be on social media, whether it be follow the Father Figure Movement on Facebook. Tap into the fatherfiguremovement.com. We on live right now with Father Figure Apparel, man. So reach out however you want to reach out. If there's some subject matter that you want us to hit on, if it's a guest you want to see on here, man, just tap in. We'll get it done. But more importantly, Curb, I appreciate you for tapping in, man. I appreciate you for
bringing me out the bench,
coming on that 2-way contract. I know you got to go back to the G League.
Yes, I got.
Nah, but Curb gonna be a regular. Of course, Deontay is my co-host, man. But we got a whole team of cast, man, that's gonna be regulars on the podcast. Just because there's no way for me and Deontay to attack this entire thing without y'all's expertise and y'all's knowledge and input on a lot of this stuff. So I appreciate my boy Richard Kirby, man. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Stay locked in. Again, this is another episode of the Father Figure Podcast, man. We coming at y'all every week. Y'all tap into the apparel, of course. F2apparel.store. Get what you want, man. We'll get it right out to you. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Kurt. We'll see y'all next time.